Okay, from this point on, it will only get easier and easier, trust me. Okay, so let's now create this grill's lid. And I will start with creating an ellipse by holding down the Alt key, and of course I will access it by pressing the L key on the keyboard. And I will try to align it nicely with the rest of the icon. And it's pretty important, guys, to make this ellipse have a nice curvature that it fits the bottom part. Okay, that should do it. You can always make it look nicer with the free transform tool, or simply by selecting it with the selection tool and then playing around with it with its shape and curvature. But this looks okay for me. Okay, and I also want to make sure that it has a black fill and no stroke. Now I will select the top anchor point with the direct selection tool, and I will simply delete it. This half circle is now an open path, of course, so I will simply join it by using the Ctrl-J shortcut. Now I will create this sort of a tray, and I will do it with the rounded rectangle tool, so I will grab it from my tools panel, and I will drag a rounded rectangle just like so. Okay, almost done. Let us now create the handle, again with the rounded rectangle tool. Okay, it will be smaller than the lid, of course, than the tray, I mean. And now what I want to do is I want to rotate this guy, of course with the rotate tool, which I can quickly access by pressing the R key on the keyboard. And I will establish the rotation origin point on the leftmost anchor point. And I will rotate it holding down the Alt key to clone it, just like that. And of course I will move it to the right just a bit. Okay, now let's close the lid with the ever so handy reflect tool. So I'll select the bottom part of the lid. I'll go for the reflect tool, which I can access by pressing the O key on the keyboard. And I will Alt-click in the middle of this rounded rectangle. I will choose horizontal, and I will click OK. Now that was easy, wasn't it? Okay, so let's finish the shape with the handle on top. So again, with the ellipse tool, I'll draw an ellipse. I'll give it a nice thicker stroke. And I will want to unite it with the lid. So I'll go to the Object menu, I'll select Expand, and I'll click OK. And lastly, as I just mentioned, I will unite these two guys in the Pathfinder tool. Now, the last thing to do is to create this kind of a reflection on the right, and I will do that with the Pen tool. So I will make it active by using the P key, or I could of course go to the Tools panel and choose Pen tool from here. And I will make sure that it has white stroke and no fill. And I will simply create a nice looking curve, just like that. That will have a thicker stroke. And I also wanted to have round cap. And I will set it up in the stroke panel, just like so. And yeah, we are done with the base shape. That took a while, didn't it? But I don't think it was too difficult, right? Okay, I'm almost ready to start coloring it, but since, as we can check with the original, we have this shadow going through the right side of the lid, so we need to create a base for it. And we will do that first by selecting the top and bottom part of the lid. I will copy them and I will paste them in front. And now I'll go ahead and draw with the line segment tool a straight line going through the middle of the barbecue, but I don't want it to be too long. I'll add both parts of the lid to the selection by clicking on them, holding down the Ctrl and Shift keys together. And I will choose Divided, in the Pathfinder tool. Now I'll ungroup those guys. I could go to the object menu and choose ungroup, or use the Shift-Control+G shortcut. And now I will get rid of these left parts. And there we go. I got half of the lid that will act as a shadow. It's finished. Now it's time to start adding some colors. Okay, so I will color the lid and the handles. I will color the tray. And I will color the base. And lastly, I'll make the shadow part black. And I want to set its blending mode to soft light. I'll also drop down the opacity to around 80%. Okay, so what's left to do is to create a background. And I will start drawing an ellipse while holding down the Shift and Alt keys to constrain the proportions and start drawing from the center point like so. Of course, I'm accessing the ellipse tool by pressing the L key on the keyboard. Okay, when I'm done, I will move it to the bottom of the stack. I'll give it a proper color. And voila, we are done. Now, wasn't that easy? It took a while, but it was easy. I think it was easy. Well, it's because I make it easy, and you will see some more simple and spectacular effects in other videos. More flat icons are still to come, so stay tuned.